Good day. I'm Lateesha with Soul Spread Wisdom, and today I am going to discuss the upcoming eclipse, and I'm going to go through all 12 signs. I'm going to just go through an overview of what is happening with the planets during this new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius, happening December 14th, 2020, in the morning. And it is at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. And so in order to just really look at the conditions of the planets and what they have to offer us and what type of testimony they have to give to us for our lives, we want to look at the fact that Jupiter, who is the ruler and the owner of the house of Sagittarius, Sagittarius is his temple and home. He is in a fall in the sign of Capricorn. So this means that the owner of the house is not feeling well. He is struggling to make it through. He's almost done with the transit where he's been there for a year. He will be at 29 degrees when this eclipse happens, and he will 5 days later move into the sign of Aquarius, where he will be in better dignity. He will feel better once he leaves the sign of Capricorn. And so that is to our benefit, because what this can lead to is that there can be some disappointments along with the eclipse. But because Jupiter will be moving, he will be leaving this challenging place in the sign of Capricorn and moving into Aquarius. What initially starts out as being a disappointment can soon switch and become something better, some better news that we hear. And I bring up the word news because the messenger, Mercury, is also with the sun and moon during this eclipse, and he will be combust under the rays of the sun. He will be at 20 degrees, really close to the sun. So he's being burned by the sun. He's also in detriment because he is all the way across the sky from home. He is at home in the sign of Gemini. And so being in his opposite sign of Sagittarius, he is in detriment and he is being burned by the sun. So not only is he being burned by the sun and in detriment, but he is in a separating square from Neptune, meaning he is leaving the square. So this can give this information that we receive tied to the eclipse where it is disappointing or where we don't have all of the information. Something is hidden, something is cloudy or foggy in the information that we receive. But again, things will get better for us once Jupiter moves over into the sign of Aquarius just 5 days later. And then once Mercury moves past the sun and moves into the sign of Capricorn, things as far as information and communication will become that much stronger for us. Okay, so the sun being in the sign of Jupiter and in Sagittarius, and Jupiter being in fall can indicate to us that some teachers that we look to, or teacher that we've had, may be leaving our lives. And that is also because this sun and moon during the eclipse are with the south node. So an eclipse will be either with the north node of the moon or with the south node of the moon. So this time it is with the south node of the moon. The south node is associated with losses and things being released and things being excreted from our lives. So this particular south node is 4 degrees away from the sun. So it is really close and really powerful because it is so close to the south node of the moon. So, it may indicate on the world stage that there are some leaders, probably men, who may be leaving the world stage. It could herald someone, a great teacher or a great figure that stands tall. It could speak to them transitioning from this life or transitioning from a leadership position. So it could herald that. And it could also herald the same thing within our lives, just depending on where this is in your chart and what aspects it could be making to planets that you have. So I'm going to just walk through all of the signs, just giving just a general overview of what this eclipse can look like for you. I'm going to start with the sign of Sagittarius because it is Sagittarius season and we are about to finish it up pretty soon here. So for Sagittarius rising and Sagittarius suns, this of course is happening in your first house. And so this can affect the body. So this is something, if you had been wanting to lose weight, this would be a perfect time to start changing the diet, because there is an energy of release that is associated with this particular eclipse. As with the sun, it's in the first house, again, associated with the self and the body. This would be a good time to release and start anew with a new way of eating, a new way of taking care of the body. It could herald major change in your life as it relates to relationships, because it is on the axis, first and seventh house axis. So this could be some disappointing news that is coming in regarding a partner. But then quickly, soon after that, you get good news, you get better news about your partner. It could affect a teacher that your partner has, or a teacher that you've had. You may see your partner changing from their teacher. The teacher that they had could be leaving their lives, or they could be finishing up some higher studies or something of this nature, having to do with the partner or yourself, because again, it's on this axis. And then we're going to go over to Capricorn. So for Capricorns, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, this eclipse is happening in the 12th house for you. So the 12th house has to do with institutions. It can deal with mental health. The 12th and the 6th house axis have to do with physical and mental health, has to do with spirituality. So for you, this eclipse could bring to you some insight that can illuminate something for you. Could be challenging for you mentally. Could highlight some things that have been challenging, even from childhood, and bring up some particular triggers that could happen. It could also bring an end, an insight to perhaps if you have a father or a male figure who perhaps has been incarcerated or hospitalized in an institution of any sort. It could bring insight to that. It could bring an ending to that. It could bring some news that is challenging initially, and then ultimately the story flips and things are better. And you get better news in regard to this male figure or this teacher. You could find yourself ending some particular study of spirituality or belief that you have about God and your place in the world. It could come as a shock to you. You could receive some shocking information that may not be all the way clear as it relates to who God is for you or where you fit in the spectrum of spirituality. And then soon after that, you get clearer understanding, and the information that you received, it actually aids you as opposed to being something that is painful for you. And then we move over to Aquarius. So for Aquarius, this is going to be, the eclipse will be happening for you in your 11th house of friendships and groups that you are a part of. So this eclipse could bring to you some news about the group that you are a part of. It could bring an ending to you for a group that you have been with, and then it starts something new. You get some information regarding the group, and it's some challenging information, but it's not all the way clear. And, you may be considering leaving the group because of the information that you received. And then you get more information as Jupiter moves over into Aquarius. And you're able to look at things more clearly. Things are not as negative as they had appeared to be. And you're able to move forward with a greater sense as it relates to groups and friendships. As a part of your group, you could find that somebody who was teaching or a preacher, or someone who was a part of your church or a part of maybe your sorority or fraternity, or someone that was teaching you in a group. This person may be leaving the group, and a new teacher may be coming in. And then ultimately, at first the information comes as such a negative, and then ultimately you realize that it's for the best. Okay, so this is something that you could see happening. And then for Pisces rising, Pisces sun, this eclipse will be happening for you in your 10th house of career and reputation in the world. So this is a really powerful place to have the eclipse, the 1st, the 7th, the 10th, and the 4th, because they're angular houses. So they really, really stand out strongly. So for you, Pisces, this could be heralding a change of a boss that you have, a superior or a manager could be leaving the place that you work, or you could be changing management. You could be getting a new boss, and there's some sadness that could come up about the one that is leaving, perhaps some misinformation that comes along. And then in a few days, you realize that it was for the best. You get a new supervisor, or you get, you may yourself even come into a promotion, but you don't see it coming at first. But it could happen for you in this way after Jupiter moves into Aquarius. And then there could also be a change as it relates to perhaps your father. You could see that there are some changes that might happen in your father's life. Your father could be leaving his place of employment or something along those lines, because it is involving the sun and involving Jupiter. Okay, so when we move over from Pisces, we go into Aries, and Aries, this will be happening in your 9th house. So this is trine. This eclipse is making a trine to your sun or your rising. So that helps out the situation a bit. And so for you in the 9th house is the joy of the sun. So the eclipse is happening. The sun is in a more positive place for you. But again, Jupiter is still in fall. So it doesn't bring about the best energy, but it will be less challenging But you could find that one of your professors, if you're in school, one of your professors that you've been working with, that the relationship is coming to an end. I mean, we are at the end of the year, so this could be quite literal for you, that you are finishing up a course of study. So you are ending of this semester, and you may be ending this relationship with a mentor or professor. And so the relationship is changing, it's coming to an end, or this professor could be leaving the university where you are, or you could be leaving the university. And so that, changes the dynamic of the relationship. But again, Mercury is involved. So there could be some kind of misinformation that happens, but then later on, the light of day comes to it, and you're able to press forward and with a better understanding and realizing that it all works out for the better. And then we go over to Taurus Rising. So for Taurus Rising and Taurus Sun, you will be experiencing this eclipse in your 8th house. So for you, it could show up in the way of other people's resources. So it could be that you were receiving some income or expecting to receive some income from inheritance or tax return, or from, a spouse, alimony, or child support. And this eclipse could bring up it could bring up some sort of a disappointment. I'm sorry about that. It could bring up some level of disappointment for you in regards to this money that you were anticipating coming in, some kind of delay, some sort of confusion as Mercury is involved. And but it will later on clear up if there is a delay. Like we said, once Jupiter moves into Aquarius, he will be in better dignity and be able to bring some more help to you in this area. It could also be that for some people, there could be a transition of your father, because the 8th house has to do with death. So there could be a transition of a father, a grandfather, or someone who has been as a father to you. This could be a herald for that as well. Then when we move over to Gemini, you will be experiencing this eclipse in your 7th house of partnership. And so it could be that the relationship that you are experiencing, there could be, this eclipse could herald some challenges in the relationship. It could herald some challenges for your partner. It could be your partner's father that experiences some challenges. It could be that you experience a passing away of your partner's father, or your partner's father may be moving, or your partner's teacher. Your partner's teacher could be moving, or the relationship could be coming to an end with your partner's professor. Something along that nature could be happening in the relationship itself. You could be experiencing a change in the relationship. There could be some misinformation that happens in the relationship, but then in a few days, you come to a better understanding, that perhaps you hear some news, perhaps you and your partner are not seeing things clearly. But then as Jupiter moves into Aquarius, you're able to come to a better understanding, and move into the next phase of things. Then from Cancer Rising, Cancer Sun, Sagittarius will be in your 6th house of daily routines, physical health. It has to do with people who work for you. If you have subordinates, this is a placement where this will show up. So it could be that you find a new doctor. 6th house has to do with health. Your relationship with your doctor may come to an end. There may be some misunderstanding. There may be some test results that you get back, and then things are not clear. But then as Jupiter moves over into Aquarius, then you get the answers that you are looking for, and things are able to move forward. Again, you may change doctors for one reason or another. Maybe your doctor is moving, or you decide that you want to work with another medical professional. And as it relates to your health, you may get some knowledge of things that you may need to try. There may be some health issues that come up with this eclipse. And Sagittarius rules the hips. He also rules the liver. And so there may be some questions that come up about this during the eclipse, and then you have to determine a way to increase your health, working through some things regarding your health. Okay, then when we move over to Leo. Leo, you will be experiencing this eclipse in your 5th house. This is for Leo Sun and Leo Rising in your 5th house. And this has to do with your children. It has to do with love relationships. It has to do with creative ideas. If you are part of the theater, working theatrically or something of this nature. So if you are in a relationship with someone, you're in a dating relationship, you could find that something is brought to the stage about this person's father, or something is brought to the stage about your children's father, brought to the forefront about your children's father. Or there could be something happening in the lives of your children, something coming to culmination in the life of your children, some disappointing news that comes about for your children, but then later on things turn better for them. Creative projects that you may be working on, hoping that things will gel together, but then you find some challenges, some disappointments that come up with a creative project, some disappointment around your children, disappointment that may come up with a lover or in this relationship. But then, of course, things move forward as Jupiter moves into the sign of Aquarius, and things pick up and get better, and we get more understanding. Then we move over to Virgo rising, Virgo sun. And then you will have this in your, the eclipse will be happening in your 4th house of home, of parents, of the house of your family. So there could be some disappointments that come up regarding your family members. There could be some surprises that happen, some misinformation that happens. Again, there could be, because in ancient astrology, the 4th house has to do with the father. So there could be, this eclipse could be heralding a passing away of a father, or a change in the status of your father. Your father could be going into retirement. You could be experiencing something like that. There could be some misinformation about it. There could be some sadness and disappointment that happens perhaps with your father's retirement. And then when Jupiter moves into Aquarius, then there is a better understanding, and then there is a realization that everything has turned better and things have worked out for the better. Then there could be, within the family, within your home, with your family members, there could be some disappointment. If you are married, this shows up here. Anything that could be happening within the home, there could be things happening with the pipes, or things happening just with land and land ownership that you have. There could be some challenges that are experienced in this area of land ownership and so forth. But then as Jupiter moves into the sign of Aquarius, and Mercury moves past this square with Neptune and gets further away, then there's more clarity, more understanding in just a few days. And then when we move over to Libra, Libra, you will have this in your, the eclipse will be happening in your third house of communication and siblings. So you may find that there are some disappointments that happened with your siblings. Your siblings themselves could experience some disappointments from their bosses. You know, this is a way you could see this. You know, they may have some challenges or some disappointment that may happen with their superiors or managers at work. Or it could be that there is a disappointment that you have with your communication with your siblings. There could be perhaps some disappointments as it relates to short-term travel, or maybe you were, planning to get a new car, and then there's a disappointment that could happen with that because the third house would show, a car, a vehicle, a motorcycle, or if you were going to travel, you were going to travel and get on the plane and travel a short distance. There could be some disappointment that they canceled the ticket or something like that, and then you have to try to purchase another ticket to go where it is that you were planning on traveling. So these are just some ways that the eclipse could show up. But then in just a few days, once Jupiter moves into the sign of Aquarius, you find that things have worked out. You were able to move forward. You were able to travel the way you wanted to, or if it had to do with your sibling, then you found that things worked out better for them in just a few days. Then we move over to Scorpio. For Scorpio rising and Scorpio sun, you could find that you would have some challenges or disappointments in your second house of income. There could be some news that comes in, even for you, because it's the house of income. If you are working for someone, that perhaps they were supposed to give you a bonus, or you were supposed to be able to earn some more income, but then there's a disappointment in this area. Perhaps even with the boss, who perhaps may have made a promise, and then there's a disappointment that happens with this. But then as Jupiter moves into the sign of Aquarius, then things begin to move forward in just a few days. Some disappointment, about money, about possessions, things that perhaps you were planning on purchasing during the season. You find that maybe you don't have the money that you were anticipating having, and so you aren't able to purchase those things just right away. But then again, as Mercury moves forward, Jupiter moves forward out of the sign of Capricorn, then things began to look better. Okay, I thank you so much for listening. Again, my name is Lateesha Hinton with Soul Spread Wisdom. If you would like a personal reading with me, you can book it at www.soulspreadwisdom.com. If you would like to email me, you can email me at info@soulspreadwisdom.com. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment, and let me know if you've already begun feeling or experiencing what this eclipse is bringing or has brought. And because I would love to hear it and would love to respond and just communicate with you. Ase 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 O, Yad He Vav He.